Hey y'all, welcome back to the homestead. Today I wanted to take you on yet another garden tour. This is actually the right side of our Grow Foods Not Lawns project from last year. Now that it's the fall, it's looking a little bit different. There are some new friends, but also some old friends still here. Some of the new projects that we have going on, these water troughs behind me, we had 4 of them that were left over from our aquaponics system that we had back like 10 years ago. And since we've been here, we haven't really used them. And they're just sitting in a pile wasting space. And so Jason and I talked about it, and we're going to put them up on cinder blocks. And we're going to go ahead and put the soil in, top dress it with compost. And then I have some onion sets that Dee from Naturally NC gave to me, or picked up for me, and I'm gonna put those in here so that they have dedicated beds just for them, so I don't have to worry about them taking up any real estate. Over here, surprise, surprise, more celery. This bed is really not very functional because it's so narrow but still long. During the spring, it's great because I'll put the loofahs or the birdhouse gourds here and they'll grow up the side of the lattice. But for the fall and winter, I already have so many things to plant peas on that it just doesn't seem practical to put peas here. So celery it is, and it's gonna work really well for them. I'm excited to see how they grow in that space. So these 2 beds over here, back in the spring, we didn't plant anything in these because we had onions in this bed and we had collards and mustards in here. And Jason and I were really wanting to make sure that we saved seed because these guys did so well. So we left this bed the way that it was all summer. We did collect seed, and we know that at least the mustards are able to sprout, because lo and behold, behind me down here on the ground we actually have some mustard that has popped up. It's pretty interesting. Carol found it yesterday and she's like, "What is that growing?" And I was like, "That, my dear, is mustard green." And she's like, "No, it's not." I said, "Put it in your mouth and taste it." It's hot, super, super, super hot. So we know that those seeds will be good. But now that we've ripped all that up, we have space for Brussels sprouts. And we're really excited about that because our family loves Brussels sprouts, and we were able to find a lot of seed starts at the local feed and seed. So we have loaded down. I know in the last video you saw we had a bed full over there. We have another bed full over here, except for 2 lone collard plants that reseeded themselves, and I just didn't have the heart to pull them up. I was like, well, if you want to grow, go right ahead over there in the corner. So I moved them over, and they're doing pretty well. Now this whole bed in front of me right here, this was onions. And if you look really close, you'll be able to see there's still some onions that have popped up. I don't know if it's latent seed or if it had reseeded during the course of the summer. But either way, we have a couple of onions in here, but for the most part, this is all broccoli. Full bed's worth of broccoli. We're doing the square foot method, so we've basically got 1 per square foot. Now, I said old friends and new friends. Well, here's some old friends. The eggplant just hasn't stopped growing, y'all. I still have blossoms all over these plants. And so I have some Rosito eggplant that are still growing. Turkish orange, there's a ton of, this plant, it's 1 plant and it is loaded down. And then I have a carpet's worth of oregano, and that's only 2 plants. And then on this other bed here, I have 2 more plants full of the lady fingers, the really small ones. And they are absolutely delicious. What we have found, because we had more eggplant than we knew what to do with this year. We've freezed it, we've canned it, we've eaten it, we've fried it, we've baked it, we've done everything we could do with it. Well, we were talking to Anna over at Mimsy's Garden, and she said, you can dehydrate those and make them chips. Sounds like a snack for Robyn on the road. So we did that, and we will have a video out on what we did and how they turned out. But it looks like, hopefully, fingers crossed, before our first frost, we'll still have more of those, and these are perfect for that because of the diameter of the size of those eggplants. They turn out perfect for that. So we will definitely be growing those again next year. Heck, you never know. They might still be here next year. These little square beds that we have, in the spring, we had some volunteer tomatoes and things like that. The beds weren't doing very well because we had originally dressed them up with just pig muck. But the problem was that pig muck turned into almost concrete, so nothing really would grow in them. So we got in here and kind of mixed everything up and top dressed it with some manure. And now we have a ton of cauliflower. There's 9 plants in this bed, 9 plants in this bed. And then these other 2 beds down here, we've put cabbage in. Now, because cabbage gets really, really big and wide, instead of putting 9 plants in these, we only did 4 beds or 4 plants in each one of these. And I mean, some of these are gonna be absolutely gorgeous plants. I mean, I'm hoping they look like they're gonna have great, big, beautiful heads on them. So fingers crossed those are gonna be good. Now, this bed was good intentions, just never goes the way you want it to. In the spring and the summer, I had this thing laid, I mean, they were completely laid down with tomatoes. Lo and behold, when I pulled all the tomatoes up, I found a poblano plant. And so now these poblanos are going absolutely bonkers. So I've kind of tied those up to this side of the fence, and we're harvesting those. We're actually going to do a video on how to make chili rellenos. I'm going to probably freeze them, so we'll do that video. You guys will be able to see that. Now, in this bed, we went ahead and put, I believe this is cauliflower. Let's look. Yeah, so this is cauliflower. I still have a few cauliflower plants left, but I ran out of space. Well, it doesn't look like I ran out of space, but let me show you what happens when you don't harvest all of your tomatoes. I have tons of volunteer tomato plants, and it's the middle of October. So I think what we're going to do, at least we're going to try, is we're going to dig a few of these up, and then we're going to transplant them into the house and see if we can grow some of these in the house over the winter. We're expecting it to be a pretty cold winter this year, and so I'm imagining the house is going to be pretty warm from the wood burning stove. So we'll put it over by the window where it'll get plenty of sunlight, and then hopefully the house will stay hot enough for them to grow over the winter. Very last thing, we had our food trough that we had repurposed into a bed. We tried to grow potatoes in it this summer. Was not very good, didn't do very well, but we figured we'd try garlic. So we've planted this whole thing with garlic, and so far so good. They're all popping up. Some are taking a little bit longer than others, but I am finding that watering is really the key with this garlic. It seems like whenever we have a good rain or after a good watering, a good soak down, these guys pop up. And you know, we started out with just a couple popping up, and now I've got more and more popping up every day. So that is this side of the Grow Foods Not Lawns project. It's pretty, there's still a lot of room to do more stuff. So I'm really excited for what the winter months of, you know, building stuff. I know Jason has some plans to make me a few more beds. The other thing I know he's working on right now are some small planter beds, and that's going to be for all of our pineapple starts. We recently got quite a few pineapples, And so we cut the heads off of those, and we promoted the root growth. And so now we've repotted. It looks like we have 4 or 5 of those going in pots, and then I think we have 4 or 5 more inside in the house waiting to be potted. So that's where we're at. I'm glad you were able to come along with me and see what we have going on here on this side of the garden. Thank you for stopping by the Big Bear Homestead. God bless, and have a nice day.